Case 1. Brian Shaffer, 2006, Ohio. On a spring night in 2006, medical student Brian Shaffer decided to celebrate the start of break with his friends. They went to a bar called the Ugly Tuna Saloona in Columbus, Ohio. CCTV footage shows Brian laughing, chatting, and having a good time. Then he walks up the escalator toward the bar's main entrance and disappears. No camera ever recorded him leaving. Every exit was covered by security footage. His phone stopped pinging, his bank account froze, and his apartment was untouched. Nearly 2 decades later, no one knows where Brian went or how someone can vanish from a building filled with cameras and people. Brian vanished in a crowd, but our next case involves someone who disappeared on an empty road moments after asking for help. Case 2. Maura Murray, 2004, New Hampshire. In February 2004, Maura Murray, a 21-year-old nursing student, emailed her professors saying she'd be gone for a week due to a family emergency. There was no such emergency. That night, she drove her car into a snowbank on a rural New Hampshire road. A passing driver offered help, but Maura refused, saying she'd already called roadside assistance. Minutes later, police arrived, but Maura was gone. Her belongings were still in the car, along with a half-empty bottle of wine. For years, theories have ranged from accident to abduction, but no one has ever found Maura, and her disappearance remains one of America's most chilling, unsolved mysteries. Maura vanished after a crash, and just 4 years later, another student would call for help only to disappear mid-sentence. Case 3. Brandon Swanson, 2008, Minnesota. On a quiet night in May 2008, 19-year-old Brandon Swanson was driving home from a college party when his car slipped into a ditch near the small town of Lind, Minnesota. He wasn't hurt. He called his parents for help. On the phone, they could hear him walking, describing landmarks to guide them. For 47 minutes, they stayed on the line. Then Brandon suddenly shouted, "Oh, shh," and the call went dead. His car was later found, but Brandon never was. No trace, no remains, nothing. His final words still echo through the mystery. What did he see in those last moments? Brandon disappeared in the dark. But in our next case, a doctor vanished in the chaos of one of history's darkest days. Case 4. Sneha Anne Philip, 2001, New York. Dr. Sneha Anne Philip was last seen on September 10th, 2001, shopping in Lower Manhattan. She bought new clothes and bedding, then disappeared before returning home. The next morning, the Twin Towers fell. Her apartment was blocks away. She never called, never checked in, and was never found. Some believe Sneha ran to help victims at Ground Zero and died there. Others think her life had taken a darker turn before that day. Years later, the courts declared her a victim of 9/11s, but to her family, the question remains, was she a hero or a woman who simply vanished into history? Sneha's story ended in the chaos of New York, but our next case began on a quiet California highway with a car that no one should have left behind. Case 5. Bryce Laspisa, 2013, California. 19-year-old Bryce Laspisa was driving home to his parents after a sudden change in behavior alarmed his friends. He texted strange messages, gave away belongings, and stayed awake for days. On August 30th, 2013, Bryce's car was found overturned near Castic Lake, California. His wallet, phone, and laptop were inside, but Bryce was gone. Search teams scoured the area for weeks. Divers, drones, bloodhounds, but found nothing. A decade later, his disappearance still haunts social media, inspiring theories of psychosis, foul play, or voluntary disappearance. But one thing is certain: Bryce Laspisa vanished completely. A car with no driver, a story with no ending. But in our next case, the person never even reached their car. Case 6 Jason Jolkowski, 2001, Nebraska, June 2001. Jason Jolkowski, a 19-year-old radio student, was walking to meet a coworker for a ride to work just 8 blocks from home. He never arrived. Jason was seen by a neighbor taking out trash at 10:45 a.m., then vanished within minutes. His bank account, phone, and belongings remained untouched. Despite thousands of flyers and national coverage, no clues were ever found. Jason's disappearance was so baffling, it led to Jason's Law, helping track missing persons faster. But Jason himself was never found. Jason's case showed how easy it is to vanish in daylight. Our next story begins with a message that made everyone question what really happened that night. Case 7. Zeb Quinn, 2000, North Carolina. 18-year-old Zeb Quinn left work one night to meet a friend about buying a new car. He was never seen again. The next day, his parents received a strange message from his phone saying he was going away, but it didn't sound like him. 2 weeks later, his car was found in a parking lot with a live puppy inside, lipstick on the windshield, and a photo of someone's child on the dash. It looked staged and creepy. Though police suspected foul play, no one was ever charged for Zeb's disappearance. Over 20 years later, his fate is still unknown. Zeb's case was full of strange details, but our next one might be the most famous vanishing caught entirely on camera. Case 8. Lars Mittank, 2014, Bulgaria. Lars Mittank, a 28-year-old German tourist, was vacationing with friends in Bulgaria when he suffered an ear injury. Doctors told him not to fly, but Lars began acting paranoid, claiming someone was after him. At the airport, security footage showed Lars suddenly running out of the terminal, leaving behind his luggage and passport. He sprinted into nearby fields and vanished. That final CCTV clip went viral across the internet, earning him the title, "The World's Most Famous Missing Tourist." But 10 years later, no one knows what made him run or where he went. Lars ran from an airport. Our next missing person walked away from his life and might not even remember why. Case 9. Stephen Kubacki, 1978, Michigan. In 1978, college student Stephen Kubacki disappeared while skiing near Lake Michigan, an area known as the Michigan Triangle. Searchers found his skis and footprints leading onto frozen lake, then stopping. 15 months later, Stephen woke up in a field 700 miles away with no memory of what had happened. He went on to earn a PhD in psychology, refusing to discuss the incident again. To this day, no one knows if his disappearance was a psychological episode, abduction, or something beyond explanation. A man who returned without memory, and now, one who vanished forever, leaving behind a destroyed laptop and more questions than answers. Case 10 Ray Grykar, 2005, Pennsylvania. Ray Grykar, the district attorney of Center County, was known for his sharp mind and integrity. But in April 2005, he took a day off work, drove out of town, and disappeared. His car was later found near a river, his laptop recovered weeks later from the water, hard drive destroyed. Ray had handled high-profile corruption and assault cases, fueling theories of foul play. But despite national attention, no remains were ever found. Nearly 20 years later, Ray Grykar remains a ghost of the justice system he once served. These 10 disappearances, students, professionals, travelers, and officials all share one haunting truth. They left behind everything except answers